Good morning, YouTube. I am in Tennessee on my way to Georgia. This is my home time week, so my miles are going to be a little bit low. I thought I'd make a couple videos this morning since I haven't made any in a while. God, that's beautiful down there. This is the time when I wish I had somebody else in the truck with me, so they could pan over and show you some of this landscape as we pass through it. Oh man, it's absolutely gorgeous. But anyway, I want to give a shout out to my boys. Andrew, we call him Scooter. He prefers to be called Scooter. Great kid. Got some issues. He's a lot like me in a lot of ways. And hopefully he can learn to get a hold of it. He's doing really, really, really good. And I'm really proud of him. His attitude at home has gotten a lot better. Still have some issues here and there. My wife's still got to yell at him every now and again. But one of the biggest major issues, from what I understand, is pretty much stopped completely. And one of the other major issues, which is his involvement in school and his defiance, you could say, in school, has pretty much stopped. He still has some issues here and there, and sometimes he still has to be reminded that he needs to act in a particular manner, but he has done a million times better. And I want to give a shout out. I got a couple shout outs I'm going to give here, but I'm going to give a shout out at this point to the Karate University, and specifically to Grandmaster Bob Neill and to Grandmaster Rudy Smedley, who have been instrumental in changing Andrew Scooter from the defiant, disobedient kid on his way to jail. I'm not joking. He was literally on his way to jail at 10 years old. And they've completely turned him around. And I don't take any credit for it. And my wife, she's struggled, fought, tried, done everything that she could do, but she can't take any credit for it. We've put our part in also, and we've contributed to as much as possible, but the people responsible for the change in our boy, Andrew, is Grandmaster Bob Neill and Grandmaster Rudy Smedley from the Karate University in Weatherford, Texas. They've taken our boys, and Robert, he's got some issues he needs to work on too, but they, specifically Andrew, because Andrew was spiraling downward, completely and totally out of control. He was out of control at school. He was out of control at home. He stole my car and rammed it into the house and did a ton of damage to the car and the house. He stole an iPad from school and nearly went to jail for it. He had to go to an alternative school. He was failing in pretty much everything. He was defiant in school. He wouldn't pay attention to the parents. To the teachers. He wouldn't pay any attention to us. Punishing him didn't do any good. Whooping his ass didn't do any good. Taking things away from him didn't do any good. He honestly didn't care about anything. He wasn't making any attempt to do better. He didn't try to do better. He didn't seem to give a damn about how we felt. It was horrible. It was to the point where we were going to enroll him into a school that is run by psychiatrists, so they could pump him full of medication and get inside his head and screw his head all up. And it was something that I was completely and totally against, but we tried everything else. We tried positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement. Oh man, it was just, there was nothing that was going to work with him. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. Period. So we enrolled him into the Karate University, and Bob Neill got a hold of him, and I'm talking about instantaneously. Within a day, we were seeing changes. Within a week, we were seeing changes. Within a month, his his whole attitude had completely turned around. Now today he's a completely different kid. You know, he's respectful for the most part. Don't get me wrong, he's still got his times. He's still a 10-year-old. You know, he's still got his times, or he still slips back. But today I can say I'm proud of my boy. You know what I'm saying? And I want to keep saying that. So I want to give a lot of thanks to Bob Nuttall and to Rudy Smedley, who have been instrumental in helping us, you know, fix whatever was wrong with our son. Right? Karate University, Weatherford, Texas, absolutely amazing work that they did in just this short amount of time. Can't say enough good about those men. All right. So Andrew, man, I'm out here on the road. I'm gonna post this video probably tonight because I've got plenty of data plan left, and I'm gonna use that stuff up. And man, I'm proud of you, boy. You keep it up. You know, and I'm really glad that you've made it to the point where I can say publicly to everybody on YouTube and everybody in Weatherford and everybody that'll see this video that I'm proud of you, and I want you to keep it up. So, also a shout out to my other son, Robert. And you know, and I said Robert has some things to work on too. He's fairly antisocial, you know. He hasn't kind of grasped the whole social thing. You know, he's got his little group of friends that you know, he texts and plays with on Xbox and talks to at school and plays football with, you know. But outside of that, he shuts pretty much everybody else out, including me and his mom. You know, I love the boy. He's great. You know, he does pretty good in school when he applies himself. He's an excellent sportsman. He loves football and does a good job at it. He loves weightlifting. He does a great job at it. He wants to be a personal trainer one of these days, which is something I support. He's thinking about wanting to become a coach one of these days, which is another thing that I can support. You know, I'm proud of him in a lot of ways. He's a great kid, you know, and got a good heart. But you know, he has a tendency to, he's a 14-year-old. You know how 14-year-olds are. You know, they got all that hormonal shit going on, and you know, they don't really like anybody that's older than maybe 18. You know, people that are 18, they see as heroes. You know, once you hit 20 years old, you're an asshole, and that's pretty much how he treats us. You know, you're an asshole. He ain't got time for us. You know, he doesn't hardly ever answer texts, you know. And yeah, he needs to understand that me and his mom love him, and you know, we want to be part of his life, you know. And yeah, we can be hard on him, but it's for his own good. But the biggest area that he needs to work on is with his brother Andrew. Well, I tell you what, man, you know how siblings are. You know, brothers always tend to hate one another and they fight all the time. But man, our boys seem to take it to a whole new level. You know, Robert acts like he detests his brother, and that's something that he needs to work on because his brother loves him to death. Andrew pretty much worships Robert. You know, he loves that boy, but you know, Robert ain't got the time today for him, and I want that to change. So Robert, I'm talking to you right now, boy. I'm proud of you in a lot of ways. You know, in a lot of ways. I can't even name all the different ways I'm proud of you. But you need to fix that issue between you and your brother. You need to do it pretty quick. Right, we'll leave it at that. Again, I'm proud of you, boy. Keep on doing as good as you're doing, and I'm looking forward to seeing that tournament you got coming up this weekend. All right, now then, a shout out to a friend of mine, Anthony Montenegro, and this video is going to be about some things that you and I have talked about recently. Okay, so bear with me here. Before I get started on the actual video, which this will probably be another fairly long one because I've done a lot of time and just shouting out to folks, is to my wife. Babe, I love you. wish he was out here with me. And, hopefully one of these days we can get out of this financial mess I got us into, and things will be a little bit better financially for us. But until then, just know that I love you and I wish you was out here with me. All right. What I wanted to talk to you all about today is this whole issue about this school out here. All right. And today I'm not going to talk to you about Neill transfer. All right. What I'm going to talk to you about is picking a school, period, and picking the job after that. Okay. This can be a hard industry to break into, and I've said this before. It can be a hard industry to break into, but it's not an impossible industry to break into. They need truck drivers, and they're going to continue to need truck drivers. And one of the reasons they're going to continue to need truck drivers is because trucking companies are constantly putting things into place that are changing the way they operate. And trucking companies are quickly becoming more concerned with profit and saving money than they are with drivers and keeping them happy. Okay, so drivers are constantly quitting and moving to better paying jobs. Right? Not staying in the trucking industry. They're leaving their starter companies and they're moving towards other trucking companies that have better benefits, better pay. All right. So when you break into this industry, the first thing that you need is the education. All right. You need to have a school that is going to be recognized by the companies that you're planning to go to work for. Okay. So obviously, if you can get a company to hire you, the best choice is to use a company-sponsored school, because it takes away the whole, are you going to accept this school mentality? For instance, I said I wasn't going to talk about Neill transfer, but I am going to use it as an example. Neill transfer has a hiring policy. Their policy is very simple. You have to have 1 year of verifiable over-the-road experience before you can come to work for Neill transfer. And in absence of that 1 year, if you do not have that 1 year, you have to go through their school. Okay? End of story. It's the only way they accept you. If you go to, say, Roadmaster school and you graduate from Roadmaster and you want to come to work for Millis, it ain't happening. It's not going to happen, because Millis doesn't hire from Roadmaster. They hire from MTI, the Millis Training Institute. That's the only school they accept. It's the only school they recognize, period. End of story. All right? If you don't want to go through the Millis Training Institute, then you have to have a year of verifiable training experience to get a job, or a verifiable 1 year over-the-road experience to get a job at Millis Transfer. All right. Most of your good schools, most of the schools that are worth going to are 160 hours. Okay. So that's one of the criteria that you want to look at, because that's the criteria that schools or companies hiring you are going to look at. It's 160 hours. Right, so you have to have 160 hours of combined classroom and driving experience in order for that school to be recognized by the overwhelming majority of your driving classes. Now, there's this company out there called, what's the name? Class A CDL something. You rent a truck from them, okay, and it costs $160, $260, something like that. And they will give you all the answers to your CDL test, okay? And they will practice with you on backing so that you can pass the CDL test. And then they will take you to the easiest location to pass the CDL test, and you get your CDL, all right? Now, so let's say that you take that route, and you choose to you choose to use that service to get your CDL, you have no education, you have no classroom experience, you have no knowledge, you have no information about the Federal Motor Carriers Administration. You have absolutely no information on how to run a logbook. You have nothing, absolutely no experience in any way, or no education whatsoever. But hey, you got a CDL, you got your CDL in an automatic truck with a 20-foot trailer. Okay, so you got your CDL. Now you go to a company, any company, it doesn't really matter who. You go to a company that runs over the road, and they're going to look at that and they're going to say, well, how much experience do you have? Okay, well, no, I don't have any experience. Oh, well, you ain't getting a job. Where'd you go to school at? Well, I didn't go to school. Well, you ain't getting a job. It ain't happening, because you're a liability. Right? They'd have to go through so much stuff to train you. All right, and it's just not worth it. It's not worth it to them, and they're not going to do it. Okay, you're not going to get a job. Now, take that same CDL, and you can go get a job driving a 20-foot box truck somewhere. There's plenty of companies in town that have local delivery drivers, that run box trucks. Hey, they'll hire you. You can get a job there, but you're not going to get a job over the road with taking that kind of license. So don't take that option. Yeah, it's a cheap option. It gets your CDL. You're not going to get a job. You're wasting your money. And in order to get a job with most of these companies, you're going to have to go to school anyway. Okay? So the only advantage that you're really getting out of it is the fact that you're getting your CDL. All right? So you get your CDL, then you have to go to, so then say you want to go to, get a job with Snyder. Okay, well, you're going to have to go through Snyder School. Or you want to get a job with Prime. Okay, you're going to have to go through Prime School. Then you're like, oh, but I have a CDL. Who gives a shit? The CDL's worthless. It's pointless. It's absolutely worthless without the education behind it. So your next job is to jump up and say, okay, well, I'm going to go to a school. All right, so there's schools everywhere, and there's all kinds of schools, and you have a lot of choices in schools. Most of them are pretty decent. All right, you've got what you need to do is, before you commit to a school, do some research on the school. Look that school up. Look for reviews on that school. Look up what people have to say about the school on YouTube. And see what is there about it. What's positive that's being said? What's negative that's being said about it? And then use that information to make a wise decision. If you're going to go to a school at a college, more than likely you're getting a good deal. All right, and I don't mean a good deal as far as money goes. I mean a good deal as far as quality goes, because colleges are typically very, very good at being they're very good at putting together a good program. That's what I'm trying to say. Where technical skills like truck driving is concerned. Some of these private schools that you might go to, they're more concerned with your money than they are with your skill. Okay, so they're going to get you in there to get your money, or to get the government funding that they get for teaching you, and then they're just going to rush you out and get you through it as fast as they can get you through it. And they may care, they may not care about whether or not you actually learn anything in the process. And so in that case, you could get through that school and still not know anything, and you could even get a job working for somebody because you went through a school that had 160 hours, and is recognized by the company, but still not know anything, and that's not good for you either, because you're going to be out on the road, with a truck that could weigh up to 80,000 pounds, or if you're doing something like heavy haul, could weigh a whole hell of a lot more than that, and you've got, whether you realize it or not, you've got lives at stake anytime you get behind this truck. So, if you go through one of those schools and you choose knowing that a school has a horrible reputation, and if you choose to go to that school, you're not going to make it very far in trucking, because you're not going to know what you need to know once you get behind that wheel. So colleges are a good choice. They're a good choice because they're regulated. They're regulated by the college, if nobody else, and they want to keep their reputation good, because if their reputation is not good, they're not going to get students. So college is a good choice. Pretty much any one of them. I mean, you can go to a college anywhere and get a CDL class, or anywhere that offers a CDL class, and you can pretty much be guaranteed that you're going to get a quality education. Some of these schools, like Prime, Prime, Schneider. I think Schneider trains their own drivers. Swift, CR England, Millis, Knight. There's more, I can't think of off the top of my head. These guys have all got schools that are in varying degrees of success. Swift is everybody's whipping boy. I mean, everybody hates on Swift. Everybody talks bad about Swift. Everybody, trashes Swift. I don't have anything bad to say about them guys. I don't know anything about their school training program. So I can't speak on their training program. I can't tell you if it's good or if it's bad, or if Swift has just been unlucky to be caught in so many situations. I think a lot of the reason why you see Swift trucks being ragged on so much is because somewhere in the past, Swift, had a couple really bad things, that caught up to them. And now Swift is on everybody's mind as the local whipping boy. So anytime anybody sees an issue with Swift, it's all, let's snap a picture, let's put it on the internet, let's get the stuff started, and let's see what we can, how bad we can make them look now. But the bottom line is that all kinds of companies do that same thing, but people see that and they don't snap the picture and say, oh wow, looky here, US Express did this, or Western Express did this, instead, they just drive by and ignore it, and pretty much don't say anything about it. So what I'm saying is that Swift is everybody's whipping boy, but does that make Swift's training program bad? I don't know. Maybe it is bad. Maybe it's not any good, but I don't know, so I can't speak on it. What I can say is that I think a lot of people pick on Swift simply because it's convenient to pick on Swift, It doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It just means that that's the one they choose to pick on. If you had a Swift truck and a Millis truck and a Werner truck and a US Express truck all do the same thing, Swift would be the one that ended up on, the front page about it. Everybody else would pretty much be ignored, just because they don't have, that reputation going. So I'm not ever going to whoop on Swift, until I know something solid about their training program. All right. From what I understand, their training program is about as good as everybody else's. All right. So most of these company training programs are going to be pretty much the same. So that's what I got to say about the schools. Next to the companies themselves. All right. People have bad experiences. A person may work for a company and he has a bad experience, so he's going to put it out there on the internet, either on a forum or on Facebook or in some other format, YouTube or whatever. He's going to put it out there that he's had this bad experience with this company. All right, and that, whatever it is that he has to say about it can influence everybody that sees it, reads it, or interacts with it. Okay. So let's say that that a person gets on there and he rags out a company, any company. We'll just call it XYZ company. You want to work for XYZ Trucking. You get on there and you look up XYZ Trucking. This guy's got a YouTube video where he says blah 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 blah. I had this bad experience, and this company's the worst company ever in the entire world. Don't ever work for them. You know, they're trash, they're garbage, they lie to you, their trucks suck. You know, they don't take care of their maintenance. Everything's held together with baling wire and you know, and duct tape and you know, and they did this and they said this. And, you know, okay, maybe he's telling the truth, maybe he's not. When you do research on the company and you find, you know, one or two or three people that are talking bad about a company, man, you can pretty much write that off. You know, if it's 1, 2, 3 people talking bad about a company, then there's a pretty good chance that, you know, it's just those 1, 2, 3 people that have something bad to say because they had a bad experience. The bottom line is that a lot of truckers you can't ever please no matter what you do. So, you know, you could give them a solid gold bucket truck with a platinum bucket engine that runs at 300 bucket miles an hour, and they'll bitch about something, you know. You know, when you find 1 or 2 or 3 people you know that are complaining about a company, then, you know, chalk it up. But when you look and you find post after post after post after post after video after video after video, you know, and I mean, there's just this list that goes on and on and on and on and on forever about all the negative things going on with that company, dude, you better pay attention, you know. And then if you choose to go with that company because that company's willing to hire you, you know, and if you choose to accept that company because that company's willing to hire you, well, you know, you ignored all the bad things that people had to say about it because somebody told you don't listen to anything negative. You know, when the overwhelming amount of information about a company is negative and one person has something good to say about it and you choose to go with that company, I don't want to hear you bitch about it when you have a bad time. When things go bad about you, I'm going to tell you the information was out there. You should have done your homework. The information was there about how you were going to be treated. You should have paid attention to it. Oh, well, somebody told you don't listen to any negative information, that it's up to you. It's up to the individual, you know, to make a good, you know, good job there. Yeah, that's true to a point. You can make the best out of a bad situation, but a bad situation is still a bad situation regardless. So, you know, you go into that with your eyes wide open and you do your homework, all right? And when I say do your homework, that means look for all the good information and look for all the bad information. Go to a truck stop, talk to drivers. So you want to work for Swift? Hey, cool, go to work for Swift. Go to the truck stops and talk to Swift drivers. Get it from the driver's mouth. Don't listen to the recruiter. Don't listen to the dispatchers. Don't listen to the people in the office. Listen to the people that drive for them. They get paid. Go there and talk to them. You know, I know people that work for Swift that are happy working for Swift. I'm not against Swift at all, period, in any way, shape, or form. You know, those people are happy working for Swift, and I listen to their good comments about it. You know, people that are unhappy with Swift, I listen to their comments about it. With, you know,